of everything. And I mean, when you talk about standards, there's no point in talking about anything except standards of excellence, absolute excellence. There's no room for carelessness, no room for any kind of sloppiness. It's about standards of excellence all the time. And to me, again, those standards have to be set from the top. You've got to go in there and set the tone, and set it seriously and absolutely and consistently the whole way. So what do? I mean, you don't pluck something out of the sky and say, lads, I have a fantastic idea. This is what we'll do. That's gimmicky, and I don't like gimmicks. Basically, you roll up your sleeves, you get down to work. Get in there and you do it well. And standards, things like timekeeping. For example, we're training at 7 o'clock in Nolan Park in Kilkenny, and I see it as my duty to be there, ready, organised, ready to roll at 6 o'clock. And that was from day one. And that's the way it has to continue to be. And that sends out a message. It sends out a message to everybody that you're setting a decent standard. And when I went in first, it wasn't like that. There's no point in pretending otherwise. Fellows were arriving in 7:15, 10 to 7, tearing off clothes, throwing on a pair of boots, trying to get out in the field for 7 o'clock or 2 or 3 minutes past. But we did away with that, and we didn't have to read a riot act. Well, if we had to, we could as well. But we didn't have to do it, because word spreads very, very quickly. You set the example, you set the tone, and word filters down. And the players, they bought into it. They bought into it very, very quickly, immediately. Why? Because everybody wants to be part of a setup or a situation that's going to allow them to be the best they can be. Everybody talks about being the best they can be. Obsession, no, serious people in business, sport, whatever it is, that's always want to be the best they can be. But I would actually be certain, you can never, ever, ever be the best you can be. You should never, ever consider that you have now reached the ultimate of where you can go. And we would talk about that to the players, because essentially you're putting limits on yourself. You should put no limits on where you can go. No limits on what you can do, no limits on what you can achieve. So it's a journey. The journey is always saying, I'm trying to get to be the best I can be, knowing that I'll never get there. To the day you retire as a player, you should be thinking the whole time of, how can I do this better? Till the day you finish as a manager, how can we make improvements? How can we do this? So it's a never-ending journey, which is great. That's the way it should be.
So, third one on here, communication. The leader must communicate on a regular basis. Simple one for me. Action Coach, we operate in 76 countries. We have over 1,000 offices. Is it pretty simple for me to record a video every single week and send it out to those people? Yes or no? Not complex, but it means everyone in the company gets some communication direct from the chairman every single week in that company. It's not hard to do, easy to remember, easy to forget too. And point 4, sorry if I go back, point 4, congratulations. Every day, and this I love Siri on my phone. Literally, I say, Siri, remind me every day at 2 o'clock to send out congratulations to at least 2 members of my team. And it's simple. These are the basics of leadership.
Files around the world. So the only reason that I tell that story, which is something that's so important to me, is that, again, like I said, I did not go to Facebook thinking that I was an entrepreneur. As a little girl, a lot of people told me, they were like, Randy, you could have any job you want, but no one told me you could create any job you want. That's not something that people say enough to little girls. And so I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur or someone who was bringing those ideas. But what that story showed me was that any of us put in the position where you feel free of judgment, you feel free to put your best ideas out there, we are all sitting on that 2 billion person idea. I really believe it. So here I was just at this pinnacle.
But also, as was evidenced in the David Bowie tribute that I did, the station is more than that. The station is a source of inspiration. And someone sent me this picture of their daughter, and I just love it, not just because of her leopard skin leotards here over top of her diaper and the fact that she's got her big sister's shoes on, I think. But her parents said, she's like 2, and her parents said she stood there and watched that video over and over and over again. And I would love to know what she thinks normal is. What are her expectations for what people will do in her lifetime? You know, what opportunities exist for her as a black and white reality that didn't exist at all when I was that age, or when any of you were her age? That sense of a new anticipation and expectation of normal is a really important thing to instill in yourself, but also in your family, and maybe even importantly, in everyone that's counting on you. They are counting on you to provide an example that inspires them to do things that they might never have otherwise thought was possible. And that recognition of your own culpability and responsibility for inspiration is a really important one to remind yourself of, that you are inspiring someone else, and your actions speak far louder than your words. And so recognize the importance of that, and develop within yourself the skills and the opportunities that allow it to really flourish.
Call backward thinking. Backward thinking. Now, Stephen Covey used to say it this way: begin with the end in mind. 4 key component parts to backward thinking. If any one of these 4 is missing, the likelihood of you enjoying success as a salesperson is severely limited. The first thing that we must have is we have to have our goals in writing. But if your goals are not in writing, they're dreams, and dreams don't often come true, but goals in writing do. The second is a written plan on how you're going to achieve those goals, specifically detailing out the key activities, the HPAs. Third is a system of measurement. And fourth is a system of accountability. And if we pack those 4 pieces together, and then we build with specificity those HPAs, and we track and we measure if we're indeed doing those HPAs, I can tell you that if someone holds you accountable, you will see it manifest in increased sales, increased revenues, and increased personal income. It is a simple, basic system. The second thing that I'd like to share with you in terms of what goes on in a playbook is what I call proactive pipeline management. Every salesperson should maintain 2 baskets connected to each other. In the top basket are where we put our prospects. People that have never bought from us, but we wish they were. When someone buys from us once or occasionally, they become a customer. And customers are good to have, and we all know that. But here is a distinction I'd like you to take out of here today. And that is, the best salespeople build what's called a clientele. The difference between a customer and a client. You sell 10 products. A customer buys 1 of the 10 every 3 months. It's a good thing. A client buys 7 of the 10 on a regular, ongoing basis. And so the key to sales success is to build a clientele.